Hello, I'm Sarah Reddan, therapeutic coach of SR Therapy Training, and I help busy people make self-care a priority. This is Conversations with Sarah, and today I'm joined by Tina Robson from Refocus and Fly to have a conversation about nature-based interventions. Welcome.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to sort of hearing more about nature-based interventions and what that actually is and how that is used therapeutically. So if you would like to introduce yourself, to start with, just let people listening know who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, of course. So like you said, my business is Refocus and Fly. I'm a health coach, but I also work for the NHS in County Durham and Darlington for the diabetes team as well. And then I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Sunderland, which is where I'm researching nature-based interventions, which is what we're talking about today. But really they do all interlink, I'm bringing in my research into my own coaching, and also a lot around what I'm learning from working in the NHS is coming into my research. So they all kind of interlink. But yeah, I've always been just fascinated by nature and the impact it has on our health and our mental health as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just all about trying to get as many people as possible in and involved in nature as much as I can. So the nature kind of came in sort of around 10 years ago for me, when I'd started uni, or started studying at that point. I was getting outdoors a lot more myself, which I hadn't really done before. And I really saw an impact it had on me. I also got involved with a forest school project at the local school. So I was helping with a project with getting children outside once a week. We would go out into a little woodland area and they would learn how to set fires and cook their own food and build shelters. And even the teachers were coming back and saying what difference it was making for the kids at school. So that really got me interested. And for my undergraduate project, I then did a little research project around it. So we compared the classroom to the forest school activities to see what impact it had on them. And we saw improvements in their memory. So we did memory tests to see if their memory was any better. Their mood and also their wellbeing all improved when they were outdoors. So that really got me interested. I then went and did my master's at Teesside University in health psychology and clinical skills. I did move away from nature at that point, not personally, but from a kind of research perspective, and started working for the diabetes team. And then I went to an event where I heard a GP speak. It was Dr. Simon Tobin, who's called, and he was talking about his patients and how he'd got them involved in parkrun. So hopefully everybody knows what parkrun is. But parkrun is it's on a Saturday morning. They're across the world now. You will have one local to you probably wherever you live.
I have heard of parkrun, yes.
Yeah, so every Saturday morning you can go and meet up and you can run or walk them, you don't have to run. But he was getting his patients involved in this, and the stories that he was telling of his patients were just incredible. People completely changing their health and improving their health. But not only that, there was people that had really suffered with anxiety and stress and had just started doing parkrun once a week and were suddenly doing things that they never ever thought they would ever do because they were too anxious around doing certain things.
That's quite a transformation.
Yeah, they really were. When you listen to them, it was really inspiring, really good. So I came away from that just thinking, well, there's got to be something about that. What is it that's making the difference for these patients? So I was thinking a lot about parkrun. And also, why weren't all GPs, getting people involved in this and getting patients involved in activities like this? And that's now led to my research, which is where I'm looking at sort of nature-based interventions in something called social prescribing.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if you've heard of social prescribing.
No, I mean, I only from hearing you speak about it. So what is social prescribing?
Yeah. So yeah, across the UK now they have they're hoping to have one in every GP practice, but a social prescribing link worker, which is a role where somebody is basically trying to connect people with community groups so that the pressure's taken a little bit away from the GP practice. So people that need more kind of psychological or social support, that can't maybe get that in a 10-minute appointment with a GP. So what they'll do is they'll sit with a patient and just discuss what else they need. So it might be that they're just lonely and need some more social support. Maybe they just need to be more active, so get them involved in like an activity in the community, that sort of thing. But what I'm looking at is looking at whether they can get more nature-based interventions into that, because they're either not being taken up, they're being offered, but people aren't really interested in them, or they're not being recommended.
I guess as I'm sort of listening, like social prescribing sounds like an amazing thing to be doing, and definitely moving away from kind of that medical model of throwing medication at something as a first port of call, and rather looking at, is there some lifestyle changes, some connections that can be made in the community that are going to enable you to have a more fulfilling life? And I guess perhaps, is there some kind of I'm trying to think how to word it, like when you say nature and like getting out in nature, like I love nature and I think, yeah, going out for walks, I guess someone else may think, oh, you're just telling me to go hug a tree kind of thing. Is that sort of one of the barriers that you've experienced?
Yeah, I think possibly it is. We are looking at, I'm looking at the barriers to it and what people's perceptions of it are. So how we can actually change that and change the conversation that's happening to make people realise that actually it can just be going for a walk or sitting in nature, but there's a lot of other ways to bring nature indoors as well. So how can we actually bring nature into people's lives without them maybe even realising and feeling like they're doing something extra? So I think that's half the problem, is a lot of the advice that's given around, do more physical activity or go to these support groups. It feels like extra work, whereas nature can be really brought into people's lives without feeling like they're doing anything extra than they've already got. We've all got busy lives, haven't we? So when you're told that you need to do extra things, it feels like a chore.
It's just that another thing, isn't it, to fit in. If you're already feeling stressed, overwhelmed, it is another thing. And I pretty much bring up every week, I have chronic health conditions, and it's time is a big thing when you're balancing a certain amount of energy. I mean, we all have a certain amount of energy, but when you're dealing with depression, anxiety, any kind of chronic health condition, your fuel tank is a little more empty to start with. So then trying to think about adding something else in can feel massive. So being able to bring nature into your home, into your daily routine, without it being something else on top, that's positive. That's going to help recharge, isn't it? And kind of give you that more energy and that more space. How do people bring that kind of nature? How do you bring it into your life as opposed to having to go out to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at kind of maybe changing the routes that you take. So if you walk in a certain, if you walk to the shop regularly, we often go the quickest route. So can you go a bit of a longer route and take a more scenic route to get more nature in? But also bringing it indoors. Like the research shows that just looking at pictures or looking at a view of nature reduces your stress levels. Having plants environments in the house, screensavers on your computer and on your phone. You know, listening to sounds of nature can help as well. So yeah, lots of ways to bring it in. Even in like what I want to look at eventually when I've done the research is, you know, how can we bring it more into the workplace? So a lot of the time we're having meetings at a desk, you know, can we go for a walk, you know, while you're having a meeting at work? Looking at how the workplace can introduce it more. I think I'm quite lucky where I am. I don't know where you are, but I live in a rural location, so it's really easy for me to walk out of the house and pretty much be in the countryside. But for people in cities, it's so much more difficult, isn't it? When you don't have as much access. Although there is
and
a lot
especially
more
with the lockdowns as well, I think it has been harder. I mean, I'm very lucky. I live in Plymouth in Devon, and where I live, although it is a built-up area, I have a patch of green at the end of the street one way, and I can see up the hill and I can see green, and even just looking out at that green for me brings me more calm. Just sort of I can look out of our top bedroom and sort of see out to the world, and it very much kind of, I get that, I love just watching the trees, just seeing the grass, the changing in the seasons. Definitely for me, nature is a calming place, more so the sea. I love being able to be by the sea. It absolutely soothes my soul. So I mean, I guess, depending on where you live, depends on what kind of nature that you can easily access. I'm very lucky that I currently live in a place where I can get different elements of nature.
I mean, some research has found that just being mindful of where you are, so if you are in a city where you can't really access much sort of green space, then just being mindful of when you're walking. So even if you just go to the shop, we quite often just do it on autopilot. So we're not really thinking, we just, you know, you want to get to your destination and that's it. But actually just being more mindful of what's around you has been shown to improve your health and your mental health as well. So even bringing that in a little bit more, of just trying to really take in where you are when you're going out of the house as well.
So what are the benefits? You said, you know, you touched on it slightly, but so what are the benefits for people when they're spending time in nature or being mindful of noticing the nature around them? How does it help psychologically, physically?
Yeah, I mean, it's got all of the benefits really. So the way that I'm looking at it is from the biopsychosocial perspective. So it looks at the biological, psychological and social aspect. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a good intervention, because it is covering everything really. So like biologically, we have these physiological improvements. So blood pressure goes down, improves when we're in nature. Psychologically, it's like reduced stress and anxiety, improved sense of well-being, we're more connected. Also cognitively, so we make better decisions. I don't know about you, but if I'm really struggling with a decision or just feeling a little bit stressed, if I go for a walk, I can come back and I've got the answer, because you're just able to think a lot more clearly when you're outside. But also socially, so we're more social when we're outside, and you're more likely to be physically active when you're outside as well. So there's so many benefits.
So it's really, it's a very holistic kind of way of looking at it. And I mean, as you say, if you can even in a city, you can go out and you can look at the sky, you can notice what's going on around you, and I guess it's that mindfulness, like you say, as well, sort of bringing your attention to the present moment, the space that you're in. That in itself is calming, isn't it? So if you're then adding in these other elements as well, you're getting all those feel good hormones go on inside your body. It's only ever going to have that sort of positive impact. That's the word.
Yes.
Positive impact.
Yeah. And I think we often, people say all the time, don't they? Oh, it's so good to get out, and you just feel better when you're outside. But when you actually understand, you know, why that's happening and how and what it's doing, it just sort of reinforces that, hopefully getting people out a lot more. And like you said, I think with COVID and the lockdowns, it's been different for different people. So I think what I've noticed is, certainly in my area, a lot more people are getting out than they would have done before, because there was nothing else to do really, was there, in lockdown? So that was your chance to get outside and go for a walk.
Yeah, definitely.
Particularly at the beginning. So a lot more people were getting outside. But then there's that sort of those that are working from home, I've found, maybe aren't getting out as much. You're not traveling to work. So if you used to walk to work, if you sat at a desk all day, it's then difficult, isn't it, to get up and leave the house to go out. And so there's been, different struggles from different ends, I think.
I mean, I'm very much a homebody. I love being in my house, and I can quite happily stay here for periods of time and not be very bothered about it. But as I said, I do have little setups. Like I like to lay and watch the sky, and there's rooms in my house that I can do that in. So I'm paying attention to the outside world, but I'm not necessarily being in it. But through the first lockdown, through the summer, I'd recently moved to a new area, and I discovered that I was within walking distance of a massive park with loads of trees, loads of greenery, and I definitely saw the difference in being able to go out and wander around the park. It definitely did sort of help me with the physical issues that I have with my health conditions, and the sun was shining, and it was just so nice to be out. And it does, I think it absolutely does make a difference. But I think when you're a homebody, it can be very easy to not bother to go out, and I notice in myself that if I'm not consciously thinking, actually, I need to go and have a little walk or wander around, or even just stand out in the garden and breathe in some fresh air, the balance can tip in the direction of kind of not depression, and it's not even sadness, maybe it's a little bit of apathy. I feel better when I do feel better when I go out, but I can forget that happens, because I don't feel not good, but when I go out I feel better. That's what I think I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I've been trying, sort of advising people to do that are working from home, or is set an alarm or put in your calendar. Usually it's have a tea break, but actually no, just that reminder to go outside, even if it's just stepping out into the garden or
have a stretch. Especially now, I mean, hopefully when people are listening to this, we're still allowed to meet our friends, and we're still allowed to be doing the things that we're doing, and I know that's definitely makes a difference. I have been, for me, the way that I do it is I make a date with a friend and we go for a walk. So we're walking, we're talking, we're connecting in a way, that you can't just do over text. We are being able to have a bit of a conversation. So it's social. We're in an environment that is nice, like going at the park near me, is beautiful. So I think, making that commitment to yourself to go out and making it a social thing does make it easier, doesn't it? And then you're getting all the benefits of that social stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's something I've done as well, is meet friends for a coffee when we've been able to. And it's something, it's what's come into my coaching. I do that outdoor coaching, because I just think people can think much more clearly and actually get the answers that they need when they're outdoors. So that's something I've brought in. But definitely, I think it is that, the social benefits of it. That's something that comes from things where park run, or just joining a walking group even. Things like that can be really good, because you're kind of making that commitment, like you said, of right, I'm going to join this group. And you also feel a bit like you might be letting people down if you don't show up. It's that accountability as well that you get from being in a group or with friends, and having them there.
So someone like me who's a homebody, where would you say is a good starting point for putting nature into your house and sort of making it, you know, a gentle part of your daily, weekly, I don't know, schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say just if you are able to, you know, arrange to meet people is always a good thing, because it
Mm,
can be, unless you've got a dog, it's difficult to motivate yourself to go for a walk or something, isn't it, when you're on your own? So going with somebody else can help. But also just finding somewhere that you really enjoy, and having those reminders. So like I said, like a little something in your calendar, or an alarm on your phone that gives you that motivation to go out. Getting ready on a morning for going out can be a big
mm.
thing. You know, if people are working from home, a lot of people are sitting around in their pajamas these days.
I am I am an absolute live-in comfies person. And interestingly, because obviously I've got ready to do this with you today for the YouTube, I have already made the decision that when we finish, I am going for a walk, because the sun is glorious here. It's such a beautiful day today. I don't want to miss being able to be outside. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
definitely being, and I know, because I know myself, that if this was a day where I was just working, and not face to face dealing with anyone, I would be less inclined to get ready to go for a walk. But because I'm ready, so that's, yeah, that is really good advice. Like, you know, plan it,
yeah.
get ready.
It does. It makes such a difference, even if it's the
Yeah,
night before. Whether it's to go and be active outside or just to go for a walk, get your clothes ready the night before, because then you don't have the hassle on a morning of being like, oh well, no, I can't be bothered, so I'll just leave it. At least everything's ready, so that just gives your brain a bit of a reminder that actually, no, I
yeah,
want to do something active today, and go
yeah.
out.
I
So
mean,
that
it's
can
so
be
easy,
a
like you say, when you work from home, or like office based, it is so easy. Like I get hyper fixated on what I'm doing, and I can lose a day creating something, or, you know, and it is very easy for the days to kind of roll on and not get out. So I guess with any self-care practice, it is that commitment, isn't it, to yourself? It is
yes, yeah,
saying, I don't know, I recognize the benefit of this thing, therefore I am going to commit to myself, the gift of being out in nature, because it makes me feel good. And reminding yourself of that.
yeah, definitely, yeah. And trying to think of other ways. I mean, you can bring it indoors. So even reminders of like you said, having the pictures by your desk of
Mm.
outdoors will really help. Um, Having your screensaver, things like that. You can use things like apps on your phone now where you can kind of set a timer, can't you, where you can't go on social media and things, so then you'd be more inclined to do something else and maybe go
Oh,
for a
the
walk.
sheer
It's so
terror.
easy to sit and scroll, isn't it,
Yeah,
when you've
yeah,
got your phone next to you. But yeah, and social media is quite a good one in that you can kind of hold yourself accountable by posting, saying, "Right, I'm going to go for a walk today," and then
yeah.
you feel like then that you have to go and do it. But yeah, I think it's just reminding yourself of how good you'll feel uh, once you've done it, once you're
Yeah,
back.
making it habit, isn't it? I think with any change, it is making it that habit. It all feels a bit hard when you first start, even though you know that it's going to be great for you. You're going to enjoy it while you're doing it. There's loads and loads of benefits. It's very easy to just be to stay where you are,
Yeah.
until you start moving, and sort of, you know, then that makes that difference.
Mm.
And it sounds like there's just so many benefits to being out in nature, that even, I guess, I mean, you're the one doing the research, what's the minimum amount of time, have you come across a minimum amount of time that is of
Um,
benefit, or?
yeah, there isn't really. I think just any amount of time is good. You know, just stepping outside for 5 minutes can just be enough.
Yeah,
So yeah, in terms of just being in nature, as much time as you can is going to be good. So not really a limited amount of time. But yeah, I mean, the other thing I think it would be it's how can we help other people get into nature as well, that kind of in the positions that we're in.
mm,
Like I'm always trying to encourage workplaces and things, or like, you know, other coaches or anyone who's working with people, is how can you help bring that in for other people as well. So that's a really good way to do it. But
I have seen through lockdown, because I'm a counsellor, so I'm on counselling forums, and I've seen a lot of people have been kind of implementing walks and talks to kind of get make it more COVID safe. And I've seen that there's quite a few training courses out there, isn't there? And there is kind of places as practitioners that we can link in and get a bit of support around, because of course with practitioners we've got risk assessments and all of these other things to think about. Whereas when we're just walking with friends, we don't have to think about that so much, do we? It's just like, let's meet up, let's go, pick a direction and walk. So I guess it's important as well as practitioners to link in for support at places.
Just to make sure you're covered as well for if anything happens when you're outside and things like that. But a lot more people are doing it with walking and talking, especially during COVID. I've noticed that it's really, like, because we've not been able to meet clients one-to-one except for over the computer, which it's much better to be person to person, isn't it? So that's been one route to be able to do that.
It's flipped for me, because I've found that I've been able to work more with people because of the COVID and the way that it's changed for me to be able to be online. I've been able to work more with people. So it's that kind of, I guess it's that different thing, isn't it? It's finding that, like, it's great if you can connect with somebody through the internet, but if that's what you're going to do, like, still take time out. You need you need that balance, isn't it, of being able to be out as well as
being able to kind of meet everybody's preferences, isn't it? Because I found a lot of particularly in my NHS work, is that there's so many people that just don't have computers or don't have access to be online, which has made it really difficult for them.
That's another consideration, isn't it? So I'm thinking, like, from a perspective of if I was thinking, like, I want to work with somebody in a therapeutic way out in nature. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this. Is there a place that people can look? Or, I'm going to put your details into everything so people can find you. But if I'm like, trying to Google, what do I Google for? What am I going to ask?
I suppose it's just looking at sort of outdoor coaching, walking and talking. I think most people put it under kind of walk and talk. Other than that, I'm not really sure where else.
I know, like you said about forest school, and that is brilliant for children. And I did some forest school, went to some forest school stuff with one of my children, and I loved that. Like, we did the same as you, fires, and it's not just building a fire. You had a hot chocolate and you did the marshmallow. It's really, really social. And I suppose if, as an adult, if you're not kind of feeling confident enough to do something for yourself and you've got children, that's a kind of nice way in, that you can get them involved in, like, the forest school or nature walks. Or I know my kid, one of mine's an adult, one of mine's a late teen, and the late teen clearly just wants to spend a lot of time on their computer and do what they're doing. So I know that can be a barrier for parents, is get the kids out. But I guess if you've got children that are interested, you can get interested. It can be a family activity as well, not just a singular thing.
No, definitely. And I think it's all about making it fun. I think even with adults or kids, it's about doing something that you enjoy and making it as fun as you can. So like, you can do nature trails. There is a lot more probably for kids in nature than there is for adults these days. But there is, like, gardening groups even. There's allotments where they'll have they look for volunteers. Volunteering's really good to get involved in nature activities.
I'm also letting your inner child. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I certainly think for, encouraging kids outside, because then hopefully that will become a habit for them, and they'll see
Yeah,
the benefits of that as
yeah.
well.
So I'm, as an adult, I'm all for encouraging that inner child. So for me, there is absolutely no reason why you can't get together with your friends and do a nature trail,
Yeah,
and explore that, like, that playful space, because I think we kind of forget a little bit of, as adults, don't we? We get really kind of caught up in the busyness of life, all the appropriateness of the things that we're supposed to do as adults. And actually, it's okay to be in that childlike space and to have fun. And nature seems like, from listening to you speak, nature seems like a perfect place to do that, to be able
yeah.
to go out and play,
Yeah,
collect
and I mean things
sticks.
like
Like,
yeah, I mean even things like paddleboarding and fun things like canoeing, where you can actually just get out and do an activity. That can be a really good way of, you can do that with friends, like all decide to do something like that.
yeah,
If you wanted to do more than just go for a walk, but
yeah.
yeah, seeing it as like little mini adventures, I think is it's a good way to look at nature, because you just never know. I get lost all the time, going different places and just trying different things.
Yeah, like the park near me, it is a big park, and through like the summer lockdown, went on so many different little trails, and it was so interesting, all these different kind of areas of a park that I didn't even know I could walk to when the
Yeah,
lockdown started. So I guess for most people must have this. I can't be the only person in the world that didn't know that there was a really nice nature area close to them. So I mean, I recently asked on one of the local Facebook groups. I think Facebook groups are really, really useful. I guess pop in there. Is there a space? Is there a nature reserve? Is there a nice walk that people can recommend? Especially if it's a community group, you may even find that there is people who would be interested, if that's what you're looking for, that would also be interested in going out and walking. Obviously, it's much safer, disclaimer, much safer to do it through something organized. So if
yeah,
you're going to do something like that, I guess put safety things into place. But I'm assuming that adults are listening, and that people have got the sensibility to know that the internet isn't always a safe place, and people aren't always who they say they are. Disclaimer,
yeah.
disclaimer.
Got that covered. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a, I mean, I know you've said, like, there's in the GP, there's people, I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this. Is there a network of something where people can connect for, like, nature-based socials that you're aware of? Maybe I will look at that if you're
Um,
not.
yeah, I think it would depend on the area that you live in.
Yeah,
I would say just connecting in with sort of community groups. If you've got a link worker in your area, then they'll have already kind of scoped out what's available. Um, the local councils tend to have a list of activities of what's going on, but
perfect.
usually it's kind of, yeah, it depends where you live and kind of what community groups are
Yeah,
going on in the area.
I think that can
Um,
be one of the barriers, can't it? Like, not kind of just not knowing
not
where to
knowing where
go
to go.
and
Mm.
how to find it.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be difficult. I mean, that's definitely one of the things that I'm looking at, is what actually is there out there and what scope. Because I do think it really does have to be, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah,
So I think where we can get activities like even art and crafts, a lot of people love art and crafts, but can we do more things outdoors with arts and
yeah.
crafts to get more people involved that way? But yeah, I do think there needs to be probably more information and maybe even more growth of what's actually available for people, to make sure
Yeah,
it's something that they're going to enjoy doing.
yeah, definitely. And I think, well, it's definitely made me think, oh, I'm going to go off and have a look. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to see what is around my area, because it's not
Mm-hmm.
something I'd ever really thought about before. So I will kind of have a little bit of a poke around, see what there is. And I'll definitely be going out for a walk. So hopefully people that have listened today are feeling like a little bit inspired to go out and have a walk, get out in nature, or even just, I don't know, like, yeah, just spend some time outside their front door, look at the
Yeah,
sky.
Yeah, it's just amazing what difference it makes. You know, just having 5 minutes, even just
Yeah.
breathing and all in the fresh air, and just it really does have such a big effect.
Yeah. And what a quick, easy, cheap way of self-care.
Yes, yeah, it's free. It's free.
Yeah. I mean,
Nothing,
you don't get better than free, do you? And we can all
no,
do
you
it.
don't.
We can
Definitely not.
all do it in one way or another. If this feels okay, it feels like a good place to kind of stop. Is that all right? Is there anything
Yes.
that you kind of feel like you want people to take away from today? Is there anything that you feel like you need to add on?
No, I don't think so. Just, if you're feeling stressed, or you're just having a really bad day, it's just advice is just get outdoors, just in
Yeah.
any way that you can, even if it's for 5 minutes. And I promise when you come back, you will feel so much better.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you for sharing with me today about nature-based interventions. And thank you to the people that have been listening. This conversations with Sarah. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And to connect, find out more about me, my guest, you can follow at SRTT podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you very much.
Thank you.